All right, let's talk about a language you hear every single day, but you might not even realize it is a language. It's business English. And no, it's not just a bunch of fancy jargon. It's a really specific, powerful tool for getting things done in the modern workplace. So let's dive in and decode what's really being said in those meetings.
You know that feeling, right? You're in a meeting, the conversation's flying, and suddenly it's like everyone else got a memo you didn't. They're using these phrases that, well, they sound like English, but something's a little off. If you've ever felt lost in that sea of corporate speak, trust me, you are not alone. You're just hearing that secret code in action. For instance, someone might say, okay, let's address the elephant in the room, and the whole mood shifts. That's not just some random saying. It's a very specific piece of the business English puzzle.
Or maybe you've heard a project manager sigh and say, well, the tests failed. Looks like we're back to square one. Again, this isn't just office slang. It's a precise term for a reality we all face at work sometimes.
And when a new product comes out and just completely changes the game, you'll hear people say it raised the bar. Now, all these phrases feel pretty casual, right? But here's the thing. They're not random at all. They are part of a very intentional system. And understanding that system, well, that's the key. See, business English isn't just English that you happen to use at work. It's actually a formal discipline. It's a whole specialized field of study designed from the ground up to meet the very specific demands of the professional world. It's part of a bigger field called English for Specific Purposes, or ESP for short. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Doctors have to learn the specific language of medicine, right? And engineers learn the language of technology. Well, in exactly the same way, professionals learn business English to operate effectively in their world. And that makes it totally different from the English most of us learned in school. General English, that's about culture, literature, big ideas. Business English, on the other hand, is purely utilitarian. It's not about analyzing a novel, it's about closing a deal. It's not about writing poetry, it's about writing a crystal clear report. Every single piece of it is tied directly to a professional goal. So, how in the world do you teach something so specific and goal-oriented? Well, it's not as simple as just handing someone a grammar book. It's a really careful, engineered process. You can almost think of it like building a precision instrument. There's actually a science to it. This classic model from an educator named Hilda Taba shows you just how methodical it is. And look where it starts. Step 1, diagnosis of needs. Before a single lesson is planned, you have to figure out exactly what the learner needs to do. Are they a salesperson who needs to negotiate contracts? An analyst who has to write technical reports? That one diagnosis drives everything that follows: the objectives, the content, how it's all organized, and even the kinds of activities you use. It's a perfect flow from a real-world problem to a tailored solution. And this whole process isn't just a straight line. It's a loop, a dynamic cycle. You start with that needs analysis, you build the course, you deliver it, and then you evaluate how well it worked. And guess what? That evaluation feeds right back into refining the process for the next time around. Every piece informs every other piece, creating a system that's constantly getting smarter. Okay, but knowing the right vocabulary and having a perfectly designed course, that's only half the battle. To really, truly be effective in today's global economy, you need something more. You need cultural fluency. I mean, it's pretty clear that English is the go-to language for global business. But just stop and think about what that really means for a second. When a German executive is speaking English with an Italian partner, they're not just swapping words. They are navigating two completely different cultural frameworks using English as the bridge. And that's exactly why cultural awareness isn't some soft skill. It is a core business competency. It's absolutely crucial. This quote just nails it. You can have absolutely perfect grammar, but if you completely misread the cultural cues around, say, how direct you should be or how you negotiate, your perfect sentences could still lead to a massive misunderstanding or even a failed deal. It's all about understanding the why behind what people are saying and doing. To get a handle on this, experts use amazing frameworks like Hofstede's cultural dimensions. This gives us a language to even talk about culture. For example, power distance tells you how much a society accepts hierarchy. Individualism shows whether the focus is on me or we. And uncertainty avoidance, that's a big one. It tells you how comfortable a culture is with risk and ambiguity. Just knowing where your business partner might fall on these scales can totally change how you approach a conversation. So, what does all of this mean for you? Well, once you understand that business English is a designed system, one that's built for specific needs and is deeply, deeply connected with culture, you suddenly have a massive competitive advantage.
So the big takeaway here is this. Business English isn't just slang you pick up around the office. It's a sophisticated, designed system built around very practical needs. But the real mastery, the thing that separates the good from the great, is when you can look beyond the words and understand the cultural river they're flowing in. That combination is, without a doubt, one of the most vital tools for success in our interconnected world. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. As our technology and our cultures keep evolving, the language of business is going to change right along with them. So, what new phrases, what new idioms are being born right now in our Slack channels and Zoom calls? And what's going to be the next idiom that you need to know to stay ahead of the curve?